These people should not be allowed to parent children. Plain and simple.
Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And he's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers, your very own board-certified criminal defense lawyer, coming to you with my cufflinks, my gold and silver cufflinks, given to me by a beautiful woman from Ireland, and that's where these are from, Ireland. Her name is Clodagh. And today, we're starting the channel again, by the grace of our former content genius named Michael Rivers. And, I like to raise the bar a little bit, I like to on occasion, educate and, not do the salacious things. But that's not today. Today we are just going to, Dad realizes his baby was eaten alive by rats. Brought to you by EWU. Explore with us. EWU, they give them some love. I got to give them credit where credit is due. And when you realize that your baby was eaten by rats, it's probably not, you're parenting. You might want to take a parenting class, is what I'm trying to say. So this is a cold reaction. I haven't seen this. This is Robert and Nick's idea, so let's give it a shot.
I'm a puppy! I know, but Bobby is getting the help that he needs.
I see blood everywhere.
Even the little kids are talking about seeing mice and stuff running around in there.
I'm scared. We need to get out of this house. If the kid's telling you need to get out of the house, you need to get out of the house. One of the things that I just fucking hate, that I don't really, thank God I haven't had many of these, if at all, over the course of my career, is criminal cases that involve children. They're the fucking worst. Especially when it's like physical violence or neglect. I take that back. I did have one case probably over 5 years ago that my office partner brought me into, God rest his soul. It was a couple of parents who adopted a young girl and were punishing her by not feeding her. She was in second grade and probably weighed 35 pounds, if that. I mean, it was just tragic. So when you have a criminal case that involves children, especially if you have children, I mean, how can you not think about it? My dad was a fireman, and he said he never got used to bringing kids out of a burning building. Because, you think about your own kids, I mean, Jesus Christ. Kids are a blessing. You certainly don't want them eaten by rats.
He was like eaten alive.
When Evansville police and EMTs receive an urgent 911 call describing a grisly attack by rats on a 6-month-old infant, they immediately race to the scene. As paramedics race against time to save the child, it is the nature of the attack that leaves investigators sickened beyond their wildest imaginations.
And that's what we're trying to do, is sicken you beyond your wildest imagination. One of the things that you have as a parent is a duty to your children. And if you don't adhere to that duty or you don't meet that obligation, guess what? You can get charged with a crime. Is it a crime to hit your child? It depends. You can spank your kid. In most jurisdictions, you can spare the rod, spoil the child. You've heard that bullshit. If you hit the kid, guess what? He's going to fucking hate you. I mean, I got hit like crazy when I was a kid. And guess what? All it did was make me hide my shit better and resent my father. I mean, fuck you, Dad. Don't hit me again. Oh, you want to give me some coleslaw by grabbing the back of the hair and shoving it in my throat? Never had it that way. Tastes much different that way. I mean, children are a blessing. Is there a time for corporal punishment? I personally don't think so. I never hit my kids. Don't ever feel that. I mean, there's nothing that you can accomplish with hitting, in my opinion, that you can't accomplish with talking. But this is a whole nother level. This is like you have your kids in squalor. You have your kids, a kid being eaten by rats. What the fuck?
And I see his fingers. And I see that his fingers look like they've been chewed.
His fingers look like they've been chewed. Ugh. And look at the place that he's in. Well, they got a nice heart by the door, so there's love in the home. and you've got what looks to be like a little stuffed animal on the front porch, which looks really clean, or not.
Early in the morning on September 13th, 2023, police officers and EMTs quickly arrive at the Schonabaum family home, expecting to see an injured baby off to a local hospital. But what they don't yet realize is the child's injuries and the infuriating reason behind them were something they never could have anticipated. Approaching the house, the officer can't help but notice the front porch is congested with toys, household objects, and heaps of trash.
Here's the thing. Some might say, oh, they're poverty, blah, blah, blah. Just because you're poor doesn't mean you have to be fucking dirty. Doesn't mean you have to have a mess like this. I mean, maybe you don't have a job. Okay, if you don't have a job, what the fuck are you doing with your time? Clean your goddamn house. Or straighten it up. Keep it habitable for your children.
When he enters the house, he's greeted by Delaina Thurman, the aunt of the victim, and David, the victim's father. Both are also looking after several crying children.
I walked in and found him this morning. He has a crying all night long. Then,
I used to drive an ambulance when I was in college, and we would come into homes like this, where it's just shit everywhere. It came into one home, there was a dead dog carcass, and the woman was living in a mansion, and just stuff everywhere. And then we go to get her, and her family called us to bring her in because she wasn't well upstairs. And she says, I need my case. So the sheriff went back in and grabbed this small suitcase kind of thing. We find out later from the sheriff's department that there was the remains of a baby in that case that had been there for decades. Mental illness is something that manifests itself in a number of ways, and this is one of the ways.
Yeah, that doesn't happen to the baby not make a sound.
Officer Green proceeds to gain further details from Delaina, David's sister-in-law. He finds out that all of the other 4 children are under the age of 10, 2 of which are Delaina's children.
So you're saying you didn't have a mark on him when he went to bed?
no marks on him at all.
No mark at all. We
Yeah.
laid him down. He was happy as could be. He fell asleep. We came in here to watch some TV.
What time was that?
We put him to bed at what?
It's about 8.
About 8.
Yeah,
And then we just came in here. We haven't heard anything since then. He was frustrated.
I used to sneak my children out of their cribs. I'd check on them once in a while, but I'd sneak them out of their cribs, and just because you just love that little puppy breath that they have, right? And you care for them, you swaddle them. If they're not making noise, you check on them. You have a baby monitor in there probably, either whether it's video or audio. And you just wake up, and all of a sudden you see the fucking rats eating your baby's fingers. Jesus Christ.
At one time, around 10 or 11, and I went in there and I gave him his body.
Moments after the officer's arrival, EMTs enter the home to tend to the victim. The officer is stunned by the ferocity of the infant's injuries.
He's got marks all over him and his fingers are chewed off. I don't know what happened. They said it wasn't like that. Didn't hear him make a sound all night.
Okay, if a baby is getting his fingers chewed off, they're gonna make a sound. They can make a sound if they're fucking hungry. That's the only thing they can do is just scream or cry, to make their needs, wants, desires known.
When I checked on him and gave him his bottle.
I've been having a rat problem here, but I've got traps everywhere, I've got bait balls set everywhere. I've tried it the best I can.
That doesn't happen and him not make a sound all night. Wait.
I can't go with myself.
No, not right now.
Sometimes crimes have a certain liability factor, okay? So, sometimes, it depends upon if it's reasonably foreseeable. Or sometimes there's what you call strict liability. Represented an older woman without legs in a nursing home who was sexually assaulted by one of the staff. That just shouldn't have happened no matter what. There's no negligence there. It just shouldn't fucking happen. pull the diaper aside and go to town. Give me a fucking break. You know, and this is the kind of along that same line. Your kids should not have their fingers eaten off by fucking rats. I mean, by rodents. They need to be out of that environment, and the house probably needs to be fumigated or torn down.
You can sit down. Can you talk to them? This is mom and dad get the rest. I can't talk to those people. I'm gonna lose it. Here you go. You should have seen the baby. It's terrible. They said to make a sound all night.
As more officers approach the scene, they are equally appalled by the disturbing injuries and the terrible conditions of the house the children live in.
And here's the thing. These guys have kids. I guarantee you all these guys have kids. And they see stuff constantly, right? They constantly are seeing the worst of the worst of the worst. Firemen are the same way. You know, like I told you, my dad never got used to pulling kids out of a burning building. And this has a toll on their mental health. And that's why he's like, I can't talk to these people.
One of the nastier ones I've ever seen.
It's hard to contain the rage. It's hard to contain the rage.
That's not. Oh, that's I had to walk out. Babies died in big like situations, but the fact that he was there and he was eaten alive, you're telling me he like a sound?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No way.
In the house, we don't have diapers laying on the floor. Like,
Well, I can already tell just from the porch how bad.
Yeah, I showed him the picture. It's bad.
So it looks like the fingers were chewed.
like,
Yeah, they're really bad. Like going. Like he was like eaten alive.
All of them?
He's gonna lose at least a couple, but the whole hand's just chewed up.
With the baby
The whole hand's chewed up. Good thing we're not going to take a look at that here today. Or at least I hope.
finally receiving treatment in the ambulance, it was time to dig deeper into how such a grotesque attack on the child went unnoticed. The suspects are clearly being less than truthful, and officers must get to the bottom of it. Police isolate the victim's father, David, for questioning.
So, poverty doesn't equate to neglect. You can be poor and still be a good parent. So you have pancakes for dinner a couple nights a week, you know? So maybe you skip a meal because you're poor. Doesn't mean you have to be dirty. Doesn't mean you have to have just a shit pile mess. Doesn't mean you have to have diapers on the floor, you know? But if you're on drugs and you're passed out half the fucking time, or you just don't give a shit, you don't deserve to have your children. And that's the other part of this. Child protection gets involved in this. I guarantee you, it's not long after this that child protection will get involved. And one of the things they can do is they can take your kids, and they can develop a plan to either terminate your rights, which is a civil process, or have a plan for you to get your kids back.
You just want to take a seat. Look, listen. I have no idea what's going on. I just got here, but I want to talk to you, but you're not under arrest or anything, but I'm going to read you your rights before I talk to you, okay?
So remember, he doesn't have to read him his rights. I don't know that I would have read him his rights, because if you're not under arrest, you're free to go, you're free to talk. But when do you read those rights? So where there's in custody and interrogation, that's when the Miranda rights attach. And he's not in custody, so he doesn't have to read him his rights. But probably a smart thing to do it, because he's probably going to he knows he's going to arrest him.
I was getting all the kids up, ready for school this morning.
Okay.
I went in there like I've been doing. Went in there to...
He sounds fucked up, right? I mean, he sounds like he's not all there.
Get him up, and I see blood everywhere. So I got him up. I was like, okay, where's the blood coming from? I worked for AMR for a while.
Okay.
I was like, where's the blood coming from? You know, said, did he have a nosebleed? Did he have an ear bleed? I noticed amount of blood, and I see his fingers. And I see that his fingers look like they've been chewed.
So look at him shake. You know, look at him shake. He's not shaking because he's distraught by this. He's shaking because he's on something, I guarantee it.
Okay, what does he sleep in, like a crib? Or?
He has a bassinet.
A bassinet?
Bassinet that's on the, stands up, off the floor.
Okay.
Look at the squalor. Look at the shit that this child is in. People like this should not have the privilege of having children.
And it's in a corner of the room. never had any issues.
So you think the dog was chewing on his fingers?
No. We have a rat problem here. I've been trying to get rid of them. I've got Terminex here. I've got bait blocks. I've got traps.
Okay.
All set. And it's like...
Okay.
The baby's mother, Angel Schonabaum, was reportedly staying in a nearby mental health facility and wasn't present during the attack on the infant.
Big surprise there. Big surprise that mom's got mental health problems. Dad looks like he's driving his mental health mobile just right up to mom.
David brings the officer to his son's room, where the incident occurred.
You need to get out of
If you don't want to look in there, it's fine. You just...
Sleeps over. He has a pocket play.
Okay.
The blood-soaked bassinet and boppy pillow create a scene like something out of a horror movie. A defenseless infant would not have stood a chance fending for himself against what was likely a multiple rodent attack. The officer only has time for a brief look before David becomes overwhelmed.
Okay. It's all right. It's all right. Let's get you some. Let's get you some cigarettes.
So that's criminal neglect of a child, and that's usually punishable by prison.
That's my baby, you know.
I know. I know. They're gonna help him, okay?
As David paces through the house, the children are becoming restless, realizing something is very wrong. When David is able to take a minute to calm down on the front porch, officers gather near the ambulance to compare notes. Despite the house's condition, the question of how this many rodents were infesting the property and the role the adults played remain to be discovered.
Is it both hands?
The right hand is the worst. The left one is, for lack of a better term, more superficial.
Okay.
His feet. Nothing really noted on his back. Groin area looks okay, a little bruising in the perineum.
According to the police incident report, the baby had over 50 rat bites all over his body. Despite the terrifying wounds on his left hand, it was his right hand, however, that had the EMTs deeply concerned about the child's well-being. He would need a blood transfusion when he arrived at the hospital, as the wounds were nearly fatal.
Let's say the kid dies. I don't know if that happens here or not, but if the kid dies, what's the crime? Certainly it's not an intentional homicide, right? But it's probably more like a manslaughter case. And what's manslaughter? Manslaughter is the culpable negligence. Basically, you're acting in a way without regard to the danger that's been caused. So in this case, the danger is the squalor that you're letting these kids live in. I mean, don't you think it's reasonably foreseeable that if you have this major fucking rat problem and you have a kid in the room by themselves, that kid's at risk? Especially if you got shit all over the place.
Buckled up before
All right.
or if us get angry enough to say hello to the parents. I'm assuming they're not coming to the hospital.
No. Absolutely not.
All right.
I don't know how you wouldn't hear it.
This has to be excruciating. And if he wasn't screaming, then something else.
Yeah.
While the officer continues to speak with David, the children are growing restless inside as an officer tries to calm them down.
Hey, bud, it's okay. Here.
Come over here. They're all girls.
That's a good point. If the child wasn't screaming, then there's something else going on because the kid probably would have been unconscious or just so out of it that, through malnutrition or neglect or whatever.
Hey, bud, it's okay. Here.
Come over here. They're all girls. Yeah, the little boy. You want to sit down so we can talk to you?
On a call from DCS, their person, to see if they're going to want the kids to stay.
Okay.
So we'll wait just a little bit, and then if so, we can stop here in a minute.
I know you two want to go to school, but we're going to wait until one.
So Department of Children's Services, that's what I'm assuming DCS stands for, will come and they'll take the kids. This is a bad enough situation where they're going to take the kids, get them cleaned up, interview them forensically, get them into foster care, and get some food in them and try to get them healthy, and then figure out what to do with the parents after the fact.
One other person comes, and then maybe we'll get to go to school, okay?
I know, but Bobby is getting the help that he needs. Yeah.
Out of this house.
Please do not ask again.
Well, let me show you things. Can you hand by him? I'll give him all this.
Hey, bud. Can I give you a hug? Can I give you a hug? All right, bud. I know.
The other thing, when kids are neglected like this and not given a hug or, you know, just a touch, they get what's called attachment disorder. I'm not an expert in this field, so this is just cursory knowledge that pretty much everybody has. But that attachment disorder down the line is something that can't be cured. And all of a sudden you turn into a, you know, somebody who doesn't have the connection with human beings that normal people have. And, you know, you could burn down an apartment building and not give a shit. I know somebody like that.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
Oh.
I'm bed bleeding. I'm bed got bleed all the day.
Yeah.
Baby gone.
It's at the hospital, okay?
He comes right back. Yeah, he comes right back. Just that down there. He's brave.
Suddenly, without provocation, one of the children says something alarming.
I saw the mouse go all day.
You did?
Yeah. Not me. I just find it in my room wanted
Okay.
and bite me.
Yeah.
Mommy.
Yeah.
And I'm just scared.
Yeah.
Baby got a mouse in his bed.
Yeah.
And bite. And bite his feet. Very quick. We got this house. And on his head.
Listen to the child talk about this horrific rodent infestation. I mean, just having the children living in that home under those conditions is criminal neglect. I mean, the prosecutor doesn't need to prove much here.
Get out of this house. Mommy. We need to get out of this house.
Hearing the child's haunting plea to leave is heartbreaking. They clearly recognize the danger they're all in. After a few minutes, the officers take them outside to play, hoping some activity would lighten their moods and ease their stress.
Want blue? There you go.
What's your favorite thing to draw?
Ooh, that's a triangle.
Yeah, I like it.
You like triangle. What color chalk would you like to use?
I like
Can you draw me a flower?
Yeah.
Can you draw me a rat chewing on fingers? Fuck.
In a minute.
In a minute.
Draw a flower.
So these cops are trying to distract the children, right? I mean, but keep in mind what a difficult job that they must have in a situation like this where children are involved. They've got this vision of the mutilated child. Meanwhile, they're trying to be decent to these children.
I'll make you some more room.
Oh, if I can bend down.
Around this time, officers discuss their horrifying observations, planning a way to rescue the remaining children.
I told Dad that we're going to keep all the kids here.
Okay.
Really. Because they all need to be checked out.
I looked and I asked them if
Well,
anybody had boo-boos. Nobody had boo-boos.
They're all, even the little kids are talking about seeing mice and stuff running around in there.
Officers and DCS guide David back inside to gain a better idea of the recent conditions of the house. In stark contrast to the serenity in the yard, the house is in a state of chaotic disrepair.
Imagine being their neighbor. You know, I mean, I've got a neighbor who's got shit growing in his front yard, and it's just fucking disgusting. And it's like, it's not pretty plant. Remove it. You know, and I'm not one of these guys who's, I want to get in your business as your neighbor. But damn it, make it look halfway decent.
Used diapers are littered across the floor along with garbage and clutter. The house was reportedly smelling foul, and there were a number of visible rat traps. Despite the disturbing state of the living room and the bloody nightmare in the baby's bassinet, officers still don't...
Hard to get this fucking turd look off my face. You know, like you're smelling a turd. Because you look at this disgusting squalor that they're living in. You know, kids should be playing ball. They should be, have footy jammies and, having snacks and treats and books read to them at night. And when you see this, it's just such a disaster for these children.
Still don't know that they've only scratched the surface.
The kitchen is a mess. So I've been remodeling and
I've been remodeling. I just, the diapers there, I just couldn't get to them because I'm remodeling. And wait till you see the palace that I'm going to build for these children.
So bad, we already slept down trying to get the kitchen worked out. So I will let y'all know that's a mess in there.
In the bedroom, the team of officers photographed.
It's a mess in there. It's a mess in here. It's a mess everywhere. Let me warn you, it's a mess over there. How would it be different than any other part of the fucking house?
The mess, blood stains, and rat tracks, processing the scene and taking pictures of the area for evidence. With DCS and police investigating the bedroom together, an official from the DCS has a moment to share some interesting information.
You guys have pictures?
Of the home, like previous pictures, let me show you. Yes.
That's right. The DCS is very familiar with the Schonabaum family.
Oh, big surprise that Children's Services has been there before and didn't do a fucking thing, and now one of the kids has got rat fingers.
In fact, there have been 3 ongoing cases and 1 decided case attached to David specifically. Beginning in December of 2022, there was 1 claim of neglect and 1 claim of lack of supervision. Finally, in January of 2018, David was charged with neglect of a dependent with endangerment, a level 6 felony, but the court withheld judgment, sentencing him to suspended probation, providing very little recourse for his actions. In February 2021, David was charged with possession of substance, for which he received 1 year of a suspended probation.
So, did I have it right? At the beginning of this video, I didn't see anything. And number 1, drugs are involved. Big surprise there. Number 2, you've got a prior neglect case and a prior Child and Protective Services case. The next step is to remove the kids from the home and terminate the parental rights.
While a case manager visited the home once a week, it was clearly not enough to prevent the...
Fucking A. How the hell is this existing and a case manager is visiting once a week? I know they're overworked. I know their resources are stretched thin, but Jesus Christ, look at this.
The unspeakable attack on the baby, nor did it prevent the other 4 children from potentially being exposed to serious diseases due to the animal feces and rodents. In the kitchen, the mess goes from bad to nauseating. In the police report, David stated he believed there was a dead rat behind the stove and decided...
Ugh, how in the hell can you live in shit like that? I freak out if my underwear are on the floor for too long.
Decided to replace the appliance. Delaina adds that this renovation caused garbage to pile up in the kitchen, making the trash
It's the renovation. Yeah, it's just the fucking renovation. Wait to see the palace that we're going to build with our $2 that we have for this renovation.
Situation far worse. Rats scampered away when they opened the door to the kitchen, forcing David and Delaina to lock the door to prevent the children from going inside.
Is this a closet over here?
Where? I'm sorry.
The door that's next to the back door?
Oh, no, that goes to the basement.
You want to go down there? I'm going to go down there first and we'll see. Guess I should. If I can even open it.
You probably don't go down the basement.
Yeah,
it's very rarely open.
Yeah, there's tons of rat down here.
There's blood in the kitchen in there too. You working in there or?
No.
Old blood?
I don't know. I know Bruno's been in there.
As investigators move through the house, they notice one of the family dogs has a scratch on his nose. Officers photograph the dog and begin confronting David further about his use of rat traps.
Dog got it.
Rat trap noise too.
One up down there.
Yeah, I don't know what from unless I found that rat or something.
These people should not be allowed to parent children. Plain and simple.
I put dog food in them usually, and
He puts dog food in the fucking rat traps because, you know, he probably doesn't have much other food. And probably what he feeds his children. And so what does the dog do? The dog tries to get some fucking food and gets snipped by the traps.
I see that? It's okay.
but
How many of those you got around?
There's one there. There's one behind the couch. I have one in the bathroom.
But they're all gone now, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I lived here for 4 years, and I didn't have a rat issue till last year.
Your sister said your dog got one last month?
He had one.
A rat?
And
Little
dog likes to get rats. But
that explains scratch.
he had one, and it went down big.
So just fighting it?
Yeah. Little dog hates rats. This is a good thing.
According to the police report in a follow-up interview at the station, Delaina additionally states that there has never been a rat in the children's room. However, in the weeks prior to the attack on the baby, 2 of the children told a school teacher they'd been bitten by mice on their toes. Delaina suggested these marks were made by the children's bed frames. Unfortunately, the school nurse could not conclusively confirm the source of the marks. As the inspection comes to a close, David tries to justify his actions once again, but the officers aren't willing to allow him any more chances.
I would never guess this issue. Mice eat cheese and...
Yeah.
That's my thing.
No.
I don't know anything about them.
No, I don't either. I'm not saying I wouldn't have guessed. Like I said,
I've never...
I mean, if I've seen one, if I saw one, I'm just saying, everyone's got their own. Obviously, you can't just up and move or whatever. So, I mean,
Rats aside, the whole place is a health hazard for anybody living within it, especially children.
I've seen one. If I saw one, I'm just saying, everyone's got their own. Obviously, you can't just up and move or whatever. So, I mean, if you see a rat, you might not think it might happen, but I'm just saying, I mean, rats are rats, so.
David was in fact able to secure housing that same day for his family, but it was too late. DCS removed all 5 children from their parents' care soon after. Delaina Thurman was charged with 2 counts of neglect on a dependent, which places the dependent in a situation that endangers them. On January 17, 2024, Delaina accepted a plea agreement for both counts of her indictment and received a 2-year suspended sentence on probation. David Schonabaum was charged with 1 count of neglect on a dependent for each of the children who had not been attacked, and 1 count of neglect on a dependent resulting in serious injury, all of which were felonies. He was on probation at the time the crimes were committed. On October 2, 2024, David was found guilty on all charges and was sentenced to 16 years in Indiana's Department of Corrections.
16 fucking years. And what did you have to do to avoid prison? Clean up your shit. Take good care of your kids. Make sure they have footy jammies so the mice can't chew through them. Make sure that they, had a clean, safe place to sleep. Make sure that they're alive and well. I mean, children are a fucking blessing. I don't care how difficult they may be. And to squander the opportunity to be a positive influence in somebody's life is just absolutely deplorable.
While Angel Schonabaum, the child's mother, was not present at home at the time, she had been present during previous interventions and visits from the DCS. Having taken no action to improve the living conditions at home, Angel was charged with 2 level 6 felony counts of neglect on a dependent for each of the children who had not been attacked, and 1 level 3 felony count of neglect on a dependent resulting in serious injury. However, in September 2024, Angel Schonabaum took a plea deal and pleaded guilty to a level 5 felony neglect charge, which is lesser than the original level 3 charge. She also pleaded guilty as charged to 2 level 6 felony neglect charges. On October 24, 2024, Angel was sentenced to 9 years in prison for the charges.
9 years. 9 years.
and is currently serving the sentence at the Indiana Department of Corrections. As of the time this video was produced, there's been no update on the health status of the injured child or the other 4 children.
Well, you wouldn't get an update because they're minors and you don't have access to that. But what a horrific, absolutely horrific, this brings to light, child abuse and all the issues that are surrounding that, mental health, controlled substance, just all the different things that funnel their way to child abuse. Sometimes you have people who just are fucking mean to their kids. I remember seeing this woman just beat the crap out of her son at a mall, and I was calling the cops, and the kid was deathly afraid that I was calling the cops because this woman was just so ridiculous with her kid. So if you see something, don't be afraid to step in, because a kid you might save a kid's life. This is just absolutely horrific, and like I said, poverty is no excuse for neglect. Anyway, so I feel like I need to take a fucking shower now after I've seen this. Don't you feel like you just walked through just dirt and grime and So we'll see you next time here in Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, sign up for Patreon. We're going to start putting some content out there. Go to CLRBruceRivers.com. These aren't up yet on the website, but they're going to be up there shortly. So we got some snapbacks or trucker hats, whatever you want to call them. They're just a different style. And take care of your kids. Put your kid on your knee. Read him a poem. Read him a book. Every night. Every night you should do that. I did that with both my kids. And look where it got me with Michael, Ugh. Anyway, but just be there. Be there for your kids. We'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, please, is that my God?